It's Solid Tuesday's edition of the award-winning Morning Flight and award-winning Station Award XP, where there's a convergence of faith and entertainment. And it's time for us to talk nothing but politics. And essentially, that's one of the major things we do every Tuesday. A former presidential candidate and one of Nigeria's most illustrious and industrious journalists, Bashorun Dele Momodu, has joined us from Accra, Ghana. Good morning, sir, if you can hear me.
Good morning, Mr. Segun
It's a pleasure
Adebowale
having you on our
Esquire.
program this morning.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your invitation.
Thank you, sir. Right, I'd like to go straight this way. Prior to 2023 election, the People's Democratic Party had 12 governors. Labour Party had a formidable candidate in Peter Obi. NNPP had another one in Kwankwaso. Unfortunately, Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, Peter Obi, and Kwankwaso could not unite, come together, and confront APC. Now, they've actually coalesced into a party called ADC. Do you think they didn't lose the best and the brightest opportunity in 2023 election? Now they are confronting a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whose party has about 31 governors, and again, against a man you will say without any sense of doubt, a politician, and an extremely formidable politician.
Well, I'm a very good student of Nigerian political history. You alleged or you claimed that the reason why they lost election in 2023 was because Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Mr. Peter Obi could not come together. But they came together 2019, just 4 years earlier. They still did not make it against Buhari at the time. And they had a very good and unique opportunity to make it. So it is not always a game of 1+1. There are always variables that determine the winner. And so for me, that wasn't a big deal. We keep moving forward, and that is my admiration for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. In 1993, exactly 30 years or so or thereabout earlier, he competed against Chief Moshood Abiola and Alhaji Babagana Kingibe. And he was advised by his godfather and mentor, Major General Shehu Musa Yaradua, at the time, to step down for Chief Abiola. And he did, very quietly, very calmly, and almost spiritually. He was supposed to be the running mate. It was suggested I would be the running mate to Chief Abiola as compensation for stepping down. He didn't get it. And he did not destroy his party, SDP at the time. He went home quietly with uncommon equanimity. But the same man in 1999, he had already won the governorship of his state, the old Gongola, now Adamawa state. He had won the governorship when they called him from his house to come and be vice president to General Olusegun Obasanjo. So there is always a hand of God, a hand of faith, destiny in the affairs of man. Now talking about 2027, you are already rhapsodizing that, oh, Tinubu is formidable. Tinubu, there is always something that we all forget about life. I call it the God factor, and I'm happy that your television station is owned by one of the most formidable churches in the world. Okay? So there is the God factor, and I believe that that God factor may decide to favor someone else. It could be Peter Obi, it could be Rabi Ukwankwaso, it could be Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, it could be Atiku Abubakar, it could be anybody. It could be Aminu Tambua. So look, this coalition is a very, very solid coalition. And if well managed, I believe they have the capacity to send President Tinubu back home in Lagos. I don't know, but if you ask me for details, I will supply why I think so.
Let's talk about the latest bride, the African Democratic Congress. The party is fighting from all fronts, and the latest one is a fight for the soul of the party by three factions. Now, we're talking about Senator David Mark, Nafiu Gombe, and maybe Kachuku. Where and when did things go awry? When did things fall apart? And do you think that the party can really survive this crisis?
Nothing fell apart. Nothing. What happens is that in every organization or association, there will always be elements who are dissatisfied. When the ADC came in, the coalition, let me put it that way, came into being last year, the first person to kick against it was Dumebi Kachiku, who happens to be my very good aburo that I like so much. And I called him and I went to his office in Abuja and I pleaded with him. I said, look, don't let them use you like some people used after a very day to scuttle June 12 in 1993. He gave me his reasons why he was fine and all that. And I appealed to him, but obviously, maybe there are greater interests at stake, as we all know in Nigeria. But one thing is very clear to me. The Yorubas have a saying, it is human beings that call themselves masquerades. They are inside the mask, so you cannot see their faces, but they are not ancestors from heaven. So they are human beings. So there are human beings behind the masquerade of destroying all formidable opposition parties. And I have no doubt in my mind that the ruling government and the ruling party are the ones behind the masquerade. And they are the ones masquerading here and there and trying to make sure that Tinubu is the only man on the ballot in 2027. I say it without any fear of contradiction, because we've gone this route before in the past, in the days of Abacha. It still doesn't bother me because of what I called the God factor. Anyone who is spiritual will never be bothered about gods with feet of clay. We have many of them in Nigeria. They play God, but at the appropriate time, God will always come out to reveal who the real God is.
Well, Dele Momodu is still with us, and we have a third leg who actually is in Kano as we speak. Christoph, the gentleman who usually pays us when we have our program every Tuesday, is in Kano, and I'm sure he's joined us now. He will want to ask one or two questions. Christoph, can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning, Bonify crew. Good morning, Basharus. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you for
Good morning,
the
and
impact
how
you've
are
had.
you? And I, Kano.
Kano is fine. Thank you for the impact you have both in politics and in the media. It's awesome, awesome. One of the most critical things I heard you say was the God factor, which is the critical factor, and I appreciate that because again we had a near repeat, although not as far fetched as this, where the President Goodluck Jonathan had a sizable number of governors, and the election still turned out the way it turned out. So we are still holding on tenaciously to the God factor. One other thing I want to have your opinion on is let's match apples for apples here. Uh, Politics, like they say, democracy is a game of numbers. And we have a situation like Shego Adebale did mention earlier, the ruling party seemingly taking everything into their account. Now, what do you think the opposition, as currently constituted, can do to ensure that if we're matching apples for apples, we'll be able to outwit the current APC setup? Are there things that they're not doing that they need to do to be able to do that?
Well, the first thing is that the ruling party has already helped the opposition coalition by underperforming. They failed woefully. You see, now people make the mistake that those who win elections at the presidential level, party members. No, how many party members do you have in the whole of them? The election will be determined not by any party. Because when you are going into vote, you will ask yourself, where in 2023, what was the state of my pocket in 2023? What was the state of insecurity in 2023? How much was I taking to market? How much was I buying fuel? Those are the questions you are going to answer. The answer is not going to be whether you are ADC or APC. Even when some APC members have said they will never continue again. So people mistake elections for party membership. No. So that's number one. Number two, that if you look at the 2020 general elections and you look at the results, according to INEC and the Supreme Court of Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar came second. Peter Obi third. Rabiu Kwankwaso came fourth. So all the people who came second, third, and fourth, IEC, so should not give APC some nightmare and migraine. So look, even for doing nothing, I watched an interview of my brother, Senator Dino Melaye yesterday. He was speaking somewhere and he said we can defeat Tinubu. I am telling you, it will get to a stage where anybody will be able to defeat Tinubu. The only reason APC is making noise is because they have all the appurtenances of power. So they are going to deploy those, awesome, fearsome, power, what we call the federal might in Nigeria. Minus that, Tinubu is very weak. Let's start from Yoruba land, where he comes from. Yorubas are among the most enlightened electorates in Nigeria. They don't care whether you are Tinubu or not Tinubu. If you are not performing, you are not performing, they will disown you. That is why you could see that he lost Lagos State, which he has held captive now for 27 years and still counting. He lost it in 2023. Osun State, he lost Osun State, where his ancestral home, where he comes from. He lost it in 2023. So despite the fact that he had one of his allies, in fact, his own nephew, Oyetola, was governor when they lost Osun State. In Oyo State, it was almost a 50-50. You understand? So the governors you talk about, that they have 31 governors or whatever, even if they have 36 governors, it still does not guarantee that the governors are likely maybe to take care of themselves and they may not be able to help Tinubu. In the last election, Yisom Wike, the current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, came up with what they call G5. That's 5 governors in their camp. Okay? 3 of those 5 governors contested to be senators. From being governors, they contested in Benue, in Enugu, in Abia states. They all lost woefully, spectacularly. So does that not suggest to you that a governor is not a demigod? A governor is a human being like you. And when the people decide to go against a governor or a president, they will win. So forget about ADC, whether there are internal squabbles, whether they are not agreeing on who will be the lead. As long as one of them is on the ballot, trust me, there will be trouble for Tinubu.
But I still have a few concerns, particularly where you landed now, when you talked about the fact that one of these gentlemen, perhaps Kwankwaso, perhaps Obi, perhaps Atiku, might fly the ticket of ADC. That is if they agree with the consensus. But let's even assume that they go with on a primary now, and then one person comes out. Don't you foresee 1, 2, or 3 of them dumping the party at that moment and going to another party, which is possible?
Mr. Adebowale, I have no worries whatsoever. Anybody at this stage who moves out of that coalition to go into another party will be working as an independent candidate. And I assure you, one, the person, I'm sure 90% will lose the election against Tinubu. That's number one. Number two is that that person will be working inadvertently for Tinubu to reemerge. I have no problem with it. I'm a businessman, I'm a journalist, I'm not a lazy person. If I wanted to be in government all these years, Shegun, you've been at Ovation, you work with us and everything. You know me very well, more than an average Nigerian. You know that my life does not depend on politics. Whatever decision anybody takes, then they will bear the consequences in the future. If you are too self-conceited to believe that you cannot work within a coalition, it's called a coalition, is that you have all agreed to work together. And whosoever emerges as the flag bearer, all others will team up. But if anybody says, oh no, like the Yorubas will say again, Afemi, 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 and that it can only be you, it cannot, nobody can claim that in ADC. It's a party now of co-joiners. We all came together and we joined at an impressive ceremony at the Yaradua Center in Abuja last year. So I believe that it is in the best interest of Nigeria for all of them to work together. But if anybody feels superior to the other, then good luck.
Of the external and internal struggles within ADC, do you think or do you see ADC merging with another political party to solidify and, of course, safeguard their participation in the 2027 elections? Because we have stories about them denying trying to merge with PRP and so on and so forth. What are your thoughts on this, sir?
Well, I am not clairvoyant like Pastor Chris Oyagilumen, a man I respect so much. So I cannot predict what will happen. But unless the ruling party finds a way to completely exterminate, obliterate ADC, I don't see why they will be the ones going to other parties coming to them. I have told you, the person who came second, the person who came third, the person who came fourth in the last election, they're already in ADC. So right now, they are the beautiful bride. As a matter of fact, now they have pushed my old party PDP aside because Wike's job was to destroy PDP, put it in ICU, in a state of coma, induced coma, while Wike just keeps it alive for the day it will finally switch off the oxygen or keep it going.
Okay, sir. There's this very interesting
Christoph, please go
narrative
ahead.
that we yes. Okay. There's this very interesting narrative we've had in our polity for over the years, which is the power shifts from the north. They have an unwritten eight, then it moves to the south, unwritten 8 year, and swings back. Now, with the current situation, you've been a candidate, a presidential candidate of man extraction will do the ADC any good? I ask because we've already established some kind of flow over the years. We have 8 years the north, 8 years the south. So, do you think if ADC eventually fields a northern candidate, will it affect the result in any way?
Well, unfortunately, Africans answer questions with questions. So I'm going to now ask you a question. And the question is, tell me when a northerner did 8 years and a southerner did 8 years. Tell me in the history of Nigeria when. Let us stop banding all these false claims. Number one, zoning is not in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So please contradict me. If you can quote the section in the Constitution, there is no zoning arrangement. It's a private arrangement within a party, and that was in PDP. And even that was thrown away by Wike and his guys. The chairman of the zoning committee, fortunately, I was a member of PDP, was Samuel Otto, the then governor of the state. They threw it. That's why I bought a form. I didn't have money to go and wait. They said anybody should feel free. Wike bought a form. And after Wike lost the primaries, he lobbied, he pleaded with Atiku to make him vice president. So if they had made him vice president, would he be lying today telling people that the zoning was to the south? There is nothing so called. Obasanjo completed 8 years. Yaradua came and died in power 3 years after. Why didn't they insist at that time that they will bring a northerner to replace him? It was Goodluck Jonathan who completed their first term. He contested. They allowed him. He won 4 years, making 5 years. Thereafter, he contested, which would have given him 9 years. People talk in Nigeria as if they think we're all fools. Tell me when the North did 8 and the South did 8. Tell me anywhere you found that. Look, let's forget this genuine theory of gentleman's agreement, north and south. It is lazy people. There is nowhere in the world. If you fail exam, they are not going to promote you because of where you come from. If you fail, you have failed. Our whole Donald Trump, they chased him out of power in 2020. Is he not back now? Why didn't they insist he must complete 8 years? The same people who chased him out are the same people who brought him back. In Ghana, where I'm speaking to you from today, John Dramani Mahama lost election as an incumbent president in 2016. He came back last year. So, Tinubu, if he has failed and the people have adjudged him as a failure, he should go home. There is no problem. Look, everything he wants in life, God has done for him. What Chief Obafemi Awolowo could not get, he got on a platter. What Chief MK Abiola could not get, he got on a platter. Look, he has every reason to thank God and dance every day and say, God, you have done well for me. It is not by force that anybody must do it here. There is no law in the Nigerian constitution that says anybody must do 8 years, whether you fail or you pass. And that's why we're not making progress. We're too sentimental, too emotional about rubbish. I don't care who gets the ticket. But I can even tell you up front anyway my own opinion, because I'm very good. I may not be able to win election, but I'm very good in the mathematics of elections. There is no southern candidate who can beat Tinubu. It is not possible. You can see the amount of money and energy Tinubu, Sheyi, and everybody are pumping to the southeast. Do you think they are stupid? They know who they want to block. Have you seen that level of activity in any other part of Nigeria? They know that if they get southeast, they get south-south, they get southwest, then all they need to do is to go and fight in the north central, and whatever remnants they get in the northeast, the so-called core northern states, then they will pick it. That's their strategy and that's their path to victory. So anybody fooling himself that a southern candidate will have that sort of voluptuous power as Tinubu is holding right now, it is in the next couple of months. So this is an election that is taking place next January. I mean, why are we fooling ourselves? There is no sentiment about it. There must be a northern candidate on that ballot with a strong southern candidate. The votes are in the north this time. They are there like they've always been, but they are there. When we brought Buhari in 2015, it was to bring a candidate of necessity. When the Republicans brought Donald Trump in America, this last election, Donald Trump was a candidate of necessity. Whether you like him or you don't like him, they knew that was the only person who could bring them back to the White House. When they brought Joe Biden, a very old man who served under Obama, when they brought him, it was the same reason they brought him. So I don't know why anybody is fooling around. Please.
My own final question, sir. I don't know whether they passed or they failed, but I do know that President Obasanjo spent 8 years. Late President Buhari also spent 8 years. But let me ask my question. And I am actually going to ask this. I know I will probably liken you to Femi Adesina. Femi Adesina is one person who loved the late President Buhari. There is no doubt about it. You've never hidden your likeness for former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Perhaps you see something in him that we do not see. But then, at 79 years old, he probably will be close to 80 next year. He was born November. Was born in November, so by November next year he'll be 80. Don't you think he's old? And having also contested for over 6 times, and again being 80 next year, wouldn't it be too old for that job?
No. I just mentioned Donald Trump to you now, who is about 80, is in government. Joe Biden was over 80 when he left government. Age has nothing to do. You look at his health. If Tinubu can be the president of Nigeria, nothing stopping Atiku from being president of Nigeria. It is the state of his health. So, and is a man that I know will be very ready at the appropriate time to release his medical records, which most Nigerian leaders don't do. You can be 50 and you carry the infirmity of a 100-year-old man. So age has nothing to do with it. It's about God. And I like the fact that you mentioned that he has contested about 6 times. I love that. That's what they call tenacity. That's what they call focus. In fact, it should be a veritable role model to young people that they should never give up. He has never forced anybody. Let me tell you, you said maybe there is something I know about him that others don't know. One of them is his patience. In 1993, he stepped down for a Yoruba man, a generalissimo of the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola. Okay? And he went home. He did not throw tantrums. He did not fight anybody like Wike is doing today. He went home. He still became vice president. That tells you something about spirituality. Okay? 2 is that he is a consummate Democrat. When his boss said he was a corrupt man, he had his Sodi could have, prosecuted him at the time. he asked for a waiver that of his immunity. Go and check the records that I am ready to be tried. How many Nigerians will do that at the level of the vice president? Number three, he had the opportunity when the governor supported him against his boss that based on their gentleman's agreement, the boss should step down and let Atiku take over. His boss appealed to him, he agreed. And he told his governor friends, no, leave my boss alone. Thereafter, his boss got out, and I don't think they really settled since then. But that's a Democrat. When the third time came, I think that's where the Wala came from. He stood on the side of Nigeria. He took his boss to court, maybe about 8 or 9 times. He won the cases. That's democracy. That's how to do it. Not that you go and get thugs to go and waylay people on the road and all that. You cannot go to Atiku's house and for single talk. You cannot have a meeting. I was the director of strategic communications, which was one of the biggest platforms of his campaign. Not once did he ever call us to say, who do you know in INEC? Who do you know in road transport workers? Who can help us? Who can you go and negotiate with OPC or somebody to come and fight for me? No. In Adamawa State, where he comes from, he does not control the governor because the governor controls himself. We know who controls Lagos. These are admirable qualities that Nigerians are willing to trade on the altar of gossip. We are trading gossip. Oh, I don't like Atiku. Oh, they say he's corrupt. They say he's a thief. They say he's a this. Prove it. Do you think as strong as Obasanjo was, if they wanted to try him, they would be scared of trying him? It's because they investigated him. They did everything. They couldn't find anything solid on demand. So it does not live, it's not a parasite who lives on the largesse of Nigeria. It's a consummate businessman. He's investing heavily in education. In fact, one of the girls from the American university, which he founded in Yola, just scored a first class at the law school. Okay? His investment in education is one of the biggest in Nigeria. He has invested in technology, in agriculture, invested in human capital development. So tell me how many politicians in Nigeria would leave power in 2007 and is still able to manage himself, his family. Then he's cerebral, he's educated, he's gone back to university to get even up to master's level. These are good examples to our youth that you can have a man who has that contentment and can live a very fruitful life, not a parasitic life where everything you do is just calling governors and say, come and give me money, come and give me money. You know. But unfortunately, like I said, it's led to Nigerians. If we waste him like we wasted Abiola, like we wasted Awolowo, good luck to us. But today he's one of the best around. Talking about age, this man is the most experienced leader. Look, presidential election, leadership in general is not about politics or politicking. It's about managing people and resources. And you have a man who has managed resources both privately and publicly, and then we are hating him, we are destroying him, we're bullying him. Why should he step down? Why are you not campaigning for Tinubu to step down? How come it's Atiku you are asking to? Those who are doing those things are being clever by heart. And I call them ingrates who don't appreciate those who have served Nigeria.
Well, if there is one thing I do know about you, when you have a cause, you do stand by that cause. It's been a pleasure having you here this morning on our program. Bashorun Ayobami Dele Momodu has joined us this morning from Accra, Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all, and I love you. And my highest regards to our great pastor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Well, That's some discussion and conversations we have. Of course, so we'd like to thank Christoph,
Yes,
who joined us
all the way
from
Kano
Kano.
State.
Yeah, from Kano, right.
Yeah.
A lot seems to be happening. And even though I like it, I love his optimism. And there is no doubt about it. We definitely cannot rule out the God factor. Because there was the time that PDP had the same parties, or the same number of governors rather, and we know what happened to them.
Yeah.
So whoever God says it will be, then
certainly will be. You know, I love the part where he talked about when you asked him about Atiku and the age and then the number of times he's contested for presidency. And he talked about tenacity and then that should even inspire and teach the young ones not to give up easily. You would tend to think about how the number of years and the different times he's contested, like he went for the presidency in 1993, and then 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023. One would think that this 2027, he should give up, but no. And it brings to mind people like Abraham Lincoln of the United States. Yes, he contested, though he won for presidency twice, 1860 and 1864. But prior to that time, he had lost bids for Congress and the legislature and, of course, the U.S. Senate. But that didn't make him give up. He still kept trying, and he won both times that he actually did go for the United States presidency. So what we heard Sir Dele Momodu talk about could also really, truly inspire anyone who is vying for any seat of power not to just give up, because people who don't give up, they eventually clinch whatever title or post or position they're vying for.
Well, we cannot but also talk about the big event starting on Thursday.
Yeah,
Jesus Today and Forever Kamfa.
Yes,
with a man of God. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 9 p.m. till 4 a.m.
Yes.
Wonderful, awesome sessions, and good, lovely time we'll be having with a man of God.
I cannot wait, honestly, and I'm so glad that this is the week we've all been waiting for. So the program is about to kick up, just like you said, starting from Thursday. Yeah. Time again is 9 p.m. up until 4 a.m. So you don't have any excuse, really. You could still go to work and come home refreshed and then head to Asheshe City and be with our man of God. Asheshe. Yeah.
That's been our program this morning. It uses edition of the award-winning Morning Flight and award-winning Station Love XP, where there's a convergence of faith and entertainment. My name is Shegun, with a surname that has a rhythm and a melody, quite uncommon. Adebo Wale.
And I'm Peace Izako. Thanking you so much for your time. Please do well to join us again same time, same channel, for another refreshing and enlightening edition of the award-winning program Morning Flight.
See you tomorrow, bright and early. Bye for now.